Celtic's trip to Portugal was the first indication of things to come in the old firm rivalry. Though Celtic's victory over Inter Milan made them the first British club to win the European Cup, more importantly to some, it made them undisputed champions of Glasgow.
To think that 11 guys from in and around Glasgow could bring the European Cup up London Road, one of the poorest places in Europe, is one of the great romances and fairy stories in world football.
We've got a tremendous reception. I think we'll come back to Glasgow. I honestly do feel that the bulk of the city was unified in that time, and the reception that we got, I think, was not just from Celtic supporters, it was from the Rangers support as well.
So why would I support a foreign team it's a foreign team playing in Scotland? No, as soon as they're playing in Europe, I want to see them beaten right away, and likewise they want to see the Rangers beaten.
To rub salt in Rangers' wounds, they lost their 1967 European Cup Winners' Cup final to Franz Beckenbauer's Bayern Munich. And back in Glasgow, things were to go from bad to worse, as Celtic continued an all-conquering league championship run.
It's a goal for Celtic, yes! Rogan. Mother. It's a goal! Mother.
There is no way a Rangers or a Celtic can put up with the other half dominating for any real period of time, because it makes life a misery.
Billy McNeil will be up for this. There's McNeil to goal.
Celtic won every league championship from 1966 to the end of the decade and into the 70s, until they had notched up an unprecedented 9 titles in a row. More than the historic European Cup victory in '67, this was the symbolic record which set the teams apart. Deep down, the fans knew that none of Rangers' achievements compared to this.
It must have been a torturous time to have been a Rangers player, or indeed a Rangers supporter. But the interesting thing was, the bulk of that team would have been Celtic supporters. And, you know, for us, we were the lucky ones. Not only did we support the club, we were actually played with them, played with the club, and we became the heroes.
Vital one for Celtic. And he's done it.
Other than the blue side of Glasgow, there were very few tears being shed for the demise of the Ibrox club. As civil rights marches began in Northern Ireland, staunchly Protestant Rangers were unmoved. Discrimination was rife, and it was affecting the quality of the team. Since the First World War, Rangers had never signed a Catholic player.
Rangers were pursuing a sectarian employment policy. You did not play for Rangers unless you were a Protestant. That was a fact. And it was not a very sensible policy, because Jock Stein, who was old and wise, he used to say, let's say there were 2 players and they're absolutely the same. One's a Catholic, one's a Protestant. He said, I will sign the Protestant for Celtic, because I know that Rangers can't sign the Catholic for themselves, so I win 2-0.
We had a better choice, because we could sign Catholics or Protestants, even coloured. We didn't mind, you know, once they could play. I signed Kenny Dalglish, but Kenny actually, they were Rangers supporters. Signed Danny McGrain. I always said Danny's family had leaning swords there. Went out to the house and I saw the pictures there, you know.
In the case of Danny McGrain, Rangers' policy of not signing Catholics had led them down the wrong path, and they'd missed out not only on a Protestant, but a future Celtic and Scotland captain.
When I was a schoolboy, I'd be playing a game of football. A Rangers scout came to see me, looked at the game, saw me playing reasonably well, looked at the team sheet or asked somebody, who's that number 6 or number 4, I might have been playing. So that's Danny McGrain, plays for the school team. But I must have been playing for a youth team or something at this time. And so, he must be a Catholic then. So, the Ranger, I'm told, the Ranger scout said, well, he's not on their list.
There were several players that were coming on the market and Rangers wouldn't go for them. And at that time I felt, well, if we are going to be the best team, then surely to goodness we've got to sign the best players no matter what they are. But talking to a lot of the players didn't want it either. I mean, they wanted an all-Protestant team.
The press knew it like we were, you know, we were all or Rangers boys or Scottish boys, you know. They all knew the scenario.
Sectarianism in Glasgow wasn't confined to football, but the Old Firm rivalry became the most common vent for the strong beliefs of the two sides of the city, as it was the only place on mainland Britain that perfectly mirrored the increasing troubles in 1970s Northern Ireland. As Republican and Loyalist feelings became more inflamed in Ulster, violence also became a part of football. When the two came together in Glasgow, the Old Firm rivalry would descend to its lowest level.
You actually want the game today?
No, definitely not.
What is so definite about it?
The violence before and after the game.
Yeah, that stopped going about 4 years ago. You don't even get peace to go and stand and watch a game nowadays, especially that game.
When you don't get peace, what do you mean by that?
That's the obscenities, and you're liable to get hit with something at any time.
One 18-year-old supporter was on the Ibrox terracing on August the 30th when fighting broke out. He was knocked to the ground, and as he tried to rise, another fan struck at his head with a meat cleaver.
Glasgow people, whether you were a Catholic, probably think nothing of steaming into one another. There was slashings, there was bottles, there was a fight, there was the doings, there were the kickings. Not like ice cream vans being turned over. Why was the ice cream van turned over? Because the guy was an Italian. Well, if he was an Italian, 9 times out of 10 he was a Catholic.
Excuse me, what's this sort of stuff you're selling here? Why Ulster rather than Rangers? What's Ulster got to do with football?
As the latest chapter of trouble in Ulster broke out in the H-Block prisons, events in Glasgow came to a head and took the Old Firm to its lowest ebb. The 1980 Scottish Cup final was a game that would be remembered for what happened on the pitch, but the players' role would be a minor one.
After 90 minutes, the game was passed by in a flash. It was just so bad. Nothing really. The goalkeepers were asked to make a save, and you get a corner kick. The ball came out to me. But they've maybe been a little bit tired. My time was a little bit out. I miskicked.
From the side, still not clear. Danny McGrain. Oh, that's a goal!
It was only after Danny McGrain's last-minute winner and the final whistle that the true drama of the day unfolded.
And there goes the final whistle. And there's an invasion of Celtic supporters. They've come right across. They're spilling right onto the pitch.
From half a dozen fans running on the park, there was 20, and then there was 50, there was 100, and then there were thousands.
And indeed Rangers supporters are coming on.
And it was absolutely frightening. You couldn't even run to the dugouts or anywhere because the fans had all come around us so quickly.
There are casualties in the left-hand goal mouth. At the end of the day, let's not kid ourselves. These supporters hate each other. And they itch to get at each other.
This was a period of time where they wouldn't think anything of people, going in with 3 trays of lager or going in with a bag full of, of wine or beer or whatever. It was just simply given.
And this is now like a scene out of Apocalypse Now.
And you had all of this in this really, really volatile environment.
So much for frenzies around the ground. And here's another chance. Here's another chance. I almost feel like a war correspondent rather than the football commentator.
In the aftermath of the 1980 Cup final, government legislation brought in a ban on alcohol inside football grounds. Celtic and Rangers were both fined heavily, and the reputation of the Old Firm left in the gutter.